Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to skip the usual self-help advice about, just managing stress.
Right.
Because if you're a leader or anyone in a high-stakes environment, you know that coping is often just delaying a breakdown. You need a real system.
You need an operating system, really, and that's what we're looking at today. The sources you've brought forward show that ancient Stoic philosophy isn't just some historical thing.
Yeah.
It's a tested, robust internal framework.
So what's our mission for this deep dive?
We're going to extract these core principles from, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and show how they build this architecture for resilience, for composure. And we'll even connect it right up to modern military psychology.
And it all starts with a kind of paradox,
Yeah.
which is what I find so interesting. The idea that real freedom and success comes from intense self-control and obedience to duty.
It sounds totally backwards, doesn't it?
Hmm.
We think freedom means more choices, fewer rules. But the Stoics knew that the outside world, the market, your competitors, just sheer luck, it's unstable.
Yeah.
And it doesn't care about you. So if your happiness is tied to that stuff...
You're always a slave to it.
Exactly. You're always a slave to circumstance. So the only path to being durable is to master the one thing you actually control, your own mind.
That reframes everything. It moves the entire battlefield from out there to in here.
And the map for that internal battlefield starts with the absolute cornerstone of Stoicism, the dichotomy of control.
Okay, let's define that, because I think we spend a ton of emotional energy on things that aren't our job to manage.
The practice is basically distinguishing very sharply between what you can control and what you cannot.
What's in our lane and what isn't.
Precisely. Controllable things are your judgments, your beliefs, your responses, the actions you decide to take. What's uncontrollable? Pretty much everything else. External events, the actual results of your actions, the weather, other people's opinions.
But hold on. If I really embrace that, doesn't that make me kind of passive? If I stop worrying about a competitor, don't I get blindsided? It sounds a little like just ignoring reality.
That is such a critical distinction to make. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about shifting where you put your effort.
Okay.
You accept the threat exists, the economy's bad, the competitor is aggressive, and then you immediately pivot your energy to the controllable part, which is, what rational action can I take right now?
So you control your preparation, not the outcome itself.
Yes, and that focus is what stops you from getting overwhelmed and frustrated.
Okay, that makes sense. So acceptance actually frees up energy for action.
Yeah.
And that leads right into their other big prep technique, which sounds pretty grim at first. Premeditatio malorum.
The premeditation of evils.
Yeah, negative visualization. Why on earth would I want to imagine the worst?
It's not about pessimism. It's like a preventative psychological shot, an inoculation.
An inoculation, okay.
Seneca was very clear about this. He said, what is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect. The shock is often worse than the actual event. So by mentally rehearsing the worst-case scenario, I lose my job, this project fails, you strip that future event of its power to paralyze you.
You're kind of processing the fear ahead of time. So if it does happen, you can just move straight to problem solving instead of being frozen.
Exactly. And it gives you two huge benefits. First is that inoculation we just talked about. You're just emotionally ready for setbacks. But the second one, and this is maybe more profound, is it creates this intense gratitude.
How so?
Because when you mentally rehearse losing your job or your health, and then you open your eyes and it's all still there, you stop taking it for granted. You realize how valuable the normal, stable present really is.
Wow. So you're either prepared for the worst or you're intensely grateful for the present.
Yeah.
There's no losing scenario for your mindset.
And we see people, highly effective people using this. Booker T. Washington, who had the immense pressure of founding the Tuskegee Institute, he did this every single day.
What did he do?
He would prepare himself to hear the absolute worst news, that a building burned down, that someone attacked him in the press, a total disaster.
And that preparation, basically accepting that his life's work could be destroyed, that's what gave him his composure. He was ready for the worst day. So a merely bad day couldn't shake him. That's real emotional durability.
And if the dichotomy of control is how you see the world, the four virtues are the rules you use to act in it. The Stoics called this pursuit the summum bonum, the highest good.
Which leads to eudaimonia. Now, let's not just gloss over that word. We translate it as happiness, but that sounds, a bit flimsy.
It's not happiness like we think of it. It's more like human flourishing, living well and doing well, a life of character, a life worth admiring. And the Stoics believed these four virtues, wisdom, temperance, courage, and justice, were all you needed for that.
They're like action guides.
Right. Every situation is just an opportunity to practice one of them.
So let's start with wisdom. This isn't about being book smart, is it? It's about practical judgment.
Exactly. You could almost call it metacognition. Wisdom is what happens in that little gap between something happening, a stimulus, and your response.
That pause.
It's the ability to pause, analyze it logically, and choose the most rational path forward instead of just reacting with, fear or anger.
It's like the philosophical pause button for a modern leader.
Totally. When a crisis hits, wisdom is what lets you ask, is my anger actually helpful right now? What's the real lesson here?
Okay, so next is temperance. Self-control, poise. This feels like it's about more than just moderation, especially for a leader.
Oh, it's all about consistency, mastery over those destructive passions. For a leader, temperance is emotional stability. The leader who stays composed, even when everything is going wrong, prevents this dangerous thing called emotional contagion.
Emotional contagion, I like that. It's when fear goes viral in a team.
It's exactly that. When a leader has an outburst or shows panic, it immediately triggers fear and defensiveness in everyone else. A temperate leader is a stabilizing anchor in that storm.
So temperance is about resisting internal passions. Courage, then, is the strength to act externally. Seneca said, persist and resist.
That's it. Courage is fortitude. It's the strength to do the right thing despite fear or pain. Seneca also had that great line, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult."
And this has to apply to moral courage, too, right? The
Yeah.
courage to hear tough feedback, the courage to admit you were wrong.
Absolutely. Courage is what allows you to grow. It reframes failure not as a disaster, but as a crucible for your character.
Okay, and the last one is justice. Marcus Aurelius thought this was the most important one, the source of the others.
He did, and he tied it to this beautiful concept of sympathia, the idea that we're all interconnected, that all of humanity is one body.
What injures the hive injures the bee.
That's the one. So justice means you have to act for the common good. For a modern professional, that means you put the mission, the team, the values ahead of your own self-interest. It's the ethical bedrock for all the other virtues.
That focus on duty really feels like the bridge between the ancient philosophy and modern resilience. Seneca's soldier metaphor is so powerful, a good man will bear whatever, like a soldier following orders.
It's integrity in action. The professional grinding out a deadline, the nurse working a double shift. They're embodying that duty. They're doing it because it's right and necessary, not because it's easy.
Which brings us back to that paradox. Freedom through obedience. Your
Yeah.
character frees you.
It does, but we have to be really careful here and address a major pitfall, especially in fields like the military or for first responders. There's this dangerous shortcut people take.
A shortcut.
Yeah, it leads to what you could call pseudo-stoicism.
And what's that?
Pseudo-stoicism is just emotional suppression. It's the toxic idea that being tough means you just deny your emotions. You pretend you don't feel anything.
Which is not what authentic Stoicism teaches.
Not at all. Repression is psychologically damaging. Authentic Stoicism says you should feel the emotion, then analyze it with wisdom, and then choose a rational response through temperance. It's engagement, not avoidance.
This is a perfect segue into the data you found. Modern military resilience programs are trying to teach exactly this. And you found a study on the Master Resilience Training Program. What did it find were the critical competencies for soldiers?
Okay, so the study found 3 core competencies that were consistently the cause of resilience. They influence everything else.
The big 3.
The big 3. Self-regulation, the mental agility, and strengths of character.
And you can see the Stoic parallels immediately. Let's define them.
Right. Self-regulation is managing your thoughts and emotions to stay calm under pressure. That's a dead ringer for temperance.
Okay.
Mental agility is looking at problems from different angles and thinking critically. That's wisdom. And strengths of character, integrity, duty, courage, that's a direct match for courage and justice.
What I found fascinating was how the priority of those 3 actually changed, depending on the context.
Yeah, it shows resilience isn't one size fits all. For the Ukrainian experts who are focused on defending their own country,
Right.
strengths of character, duty, fortitude was the #1 causal factor. It was their moral compass. But for the Lithuanian experts who have more experience in missions abroad, for them, self-regulation was #1. Keeping that internal composure was paramount, probably because of the high uncertainty and cultural stress.
But here's the part that really goes against the grain of most modern thinking. the competencies that ranked lowest for both groups.
This was the surprise. For both groups, optimism and connection, meaning social support, were rated as the least important causal factors for resilience.
Wait a second. We are constantly told to stay positive and lean on your network. How can they be the least important?
It suggests that in the absolute highest stakes situations, resilience is an inside job, first and foremost. The thinking is that military culture values self-control so much that relying on others is seen as less critical.
So in a real crisis, the strength of your own character and your own composure might be more reliable than hoping for external support.
It confirms the Stoic idea, really, that relying on externals, even positive ones like social connection, can be a source of weakness if they're suddenly not there.
You need to be self-sufficient.
Exactly. And that's why leaders have to develop this profound emotional stability. It's how you build trust. And in a more corporate setting, this translates into what you might call grace-based leadership.
How does temperance become grace?
It means you respond intentionally instead of reacting. You assume positive intent from your team. You offer, we call them soft landings for hard truths. You give candid feedback that's about growth, not about blame.
It's about preserving dignity.
It is. And you need practical tools for this instead of asking, why did you miss that deadline? Which just triggers defensiveness. The leader uses curious language. Help me understand what happened here. It keeps the conversation constructive.
So when you put this all together, what does it mean for the listener right now?
It means the systematic practice of these Stoic disciplines provides a direct path to better performance and psychological durability in any tough environment. You don't manage stress, you manage your perception of it, and that's a choice.
I think the biggest takeaway here is just how clear that connection is. Stoicism gives you an internal architecture to handle the chaos of the outside world. And whether you're in business or parenting or the military, your performance under pressure is a direct result of practiced self-mastery.
And maybe a final thought from a more modern source, Nassim Taleb. He described the Stoic sage as someone who transforms fear to prudence, pain into information, mistakes into initiation, and desire into undertaking. It's not about avoiding these things, it's alchemy.
That's a powerful way to see it. So let's leave you with a final question, one that's based on that surprising research and this idea of duty. If your greatest responsibilities required you to operate without the comfort of easy optimism or even a big support network, how would you start training your internal character, your self-regulation, your strengths today? Knowing that those are the true causes of resilience. Maybe challenge yourself to pick one external problem you're resisting right now and reframe it. See it as a chance to practice one of the 4 virtues